Welcome to Legacy Lounge, the podcast where you'll discover how to lead with purpose and build a legacy that matters. I'm Brinna, your host and leadership coach, and I am here to guide you on a journey to experience a life of fulfillment, both personally and professionally, without compromise. In each episode, we'll uncover the power of leading authentically, starting with self-leadership. Because true leadership is not just about directing others, it's about inspiring them to willingly follow your lead. So if you're ready to step into your full potential, show up authentically for yourself and others, and create a lasting impact on the world, you're in the right place. Let's begin. Have you ever found yourself sitting in a position where you feel like you have achieved everything that you thought you wanted, only to find yourself hiding in the corner office underneath that awesome title, popping anxiety medication every 4 hours just to get through another successful day? Because I have. And as one of the youngest senior directors during my time with Target, I was crushing every metric. I felt as though we were exceeding every goal. We were driving bottom line sales. We were cranking out talent. And behind closed doors, I was slowly falling apart. So today, we are going to challenge everything that we know about success. Because what if I told you that being a high performer might be the actual thing that is holding you back? So let me paint a picture of what success looked like for me. Q4 deadlines were breathing down my neck. Metrics that needed to be crushed, even though the prior year and prior 4 years, the team crushed them themselves. So now we get to go back and not only beat them, but add company improvement expectations on top of it. It was thrilling when we delivered it. But the results, they needed to be delivered now. And from the outside, we were doing it. We were those people. I was that leader. It was that team, the one that everybody else pointed to and said, she's got it all figured out. Do what that team is doing. But what nobody saw was between the executive meetings, during the drive time between stores, the overnight panic attacks, I was living off of anxiety medication every 4 hours, like clockwork. My bathroom cabinet turned into what appeared to be a pharmacy, and my performance reviews continued to say flawless. So, of course, I was telling myself, what I'm doing is working. This is what it's supposed to be like. This is the sacrifice of having such a big responsibility and a big job and an awesome team. But that's exactly why we have to talk about it. Because somewhere along the way, we have confused high performance with actual success. We have mixed up achieving with living. And trust me, they are not the same thing. So today, we are going to break down the critical differences between high performance and what true mastery looks like. And I'm not just talking about some feel-good theory. I am talking about the raw truth about what it takes to build success. And that doesn't require a prescription for you to maintain. So let's start out with a truth bomb. High performance isn't bad. Let me repeat that. High performance is not bad. But when it becomes your only measure of your worth, when it's the thing you do the moment your eyes open before you even brush your teeth, we've got a problem. And you know what's kind of funny about hitting rock bottom in the corner office? The view is still amazing, but you're numb to even notice it. I remember sitting there one night and I was staring at another exceptional performance review, off-cycle kudos note. And My team's metrics looked great. Our turnover was minimal. We were sharing talent within our district and group and region throughout the company. And my salary was exactly where everyone said it should be. And I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. Actually, that's not true. I felt everything, and it was overwhelming. See, I had mastered the game of high performance. I could show up, crush the goals, recover just enough myself in order to show up again and do it tomorrow. I had fixed broken. I had stabilized a place that nobody wanted to come to, let alone invest and grow a career at. But I had gotten so good at the short recoveries for myself that I could just do enough, get enough sleep. Maybe 5 hours tonight is plenty. And then rinse, repeat. Pop another anxiety pill. Pop another anxiety pill. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. But here is what nobody tells you about the high performance treadmill is that you can run fast. You can run faster and faster, but you're not actually going anywhere. You're just surviving at a higher speed, at a faster frequency. And for me, that's when it hit me in that moment. I had become really, really good at performing and delivering results, but I had completely stopped growing. I was so busy proving my worth through results that I completely forgot to invest in understanding who I actually was behind or beyond the metrics that I and my team were delivering. So I want to share something that I've never really talked about before. But the day I chose to walk away from my corporate role after declining an NDA, turning down a hefty severance package, all of it, people thought I had lost my mind. I'm pretty sure they still do. My colleagues, my family, they just could not understand why I'd leave when I was at the top of my own game. But here's what they didn't get. I wasn't choosing between success and failure. I was choosing between performance and mastery, between surviving and actually living. And this is where it gets really interesting, because what I discovered about the mastery side of leadership changed everything about how I view success, how I view leadership, and what it means to make an impact. So let me back up. What exactly is mastery, and why does it matter so much more than just being a high performer? Let me break this down in a way that I wish someone would have explained to me years ago. High performance is like being the person who can sprint really fast for short bursts. Sure, you'll win some races, get some trophies, but you'll also spend a lot of time recovering. You'll spend a lot of time exhausted and wondering when you'll have to sprint again. Sound familiar? I lived it. Every successful quarter at Target was immediately followed by the pressure of, okay, but now next quarter. There was no real celebration. There was no real satisfaction. Just constant anxiety of maintaining that sprint. But mastery is different. It's like learning to be a marathon runner who actually enjoys running. It's not about how fast you can go today. It's about how long you can stay in the game while actually loving what you do. And here is the part that blew my mind. When you focus on mastery just instead of performance, something magical can happen. Your confidence stops bouncing around like a ping pong ball based on your latest results, and I'll refresh it in an hour and see. We'll get out of the red by end of day, or we just fell into the yellow. It's time to bounce back to green. It can become a solid foundation built on something way more sustainable. Growth, understanding, purpose. Let me give you some real examples. In my current role, coaching other leaders, I see so many executives stuck in the same patterns that I was in. They are hitting their targets, but they're missing their lives. They're achieving goals, but losing themselves. And you know what the crazy part is? They all think that they are the only ones feeling this way. But here's what happens when they shift into a mastery mindset. They start asking different questions. Instead of how are we going to crush this quarter's numbers, they start asking, how can I build something that creates a lasting impact? Instead of what do I need to prove? They ask, what do I need to learn? And the best part, their teams start to transform just like they do. So let me share something that might surprise you. The most successful leaders that I work with now, they're not ones with the perfect performance record. They are the ones who have learned to embrace what I call conscious confidence. Remember how I mentioned taking anxiety meds every 4 hours? That was me trying to maintain perfect performance. But here is what conscious confidence looks like instead. It is walking into a room and being okay saying, I don't have all the answers, but I know how to find them. It's building trust through authenticity instead of authority. It is measuring success by growth, not just the numbers. So how do we actually do this? Let me break this down into 3 practices that I use with my clients. So first, we need to redefine what daily success looks like for you. And instead of just asking, did I hit my numbers? Start asking the questions, what did I learn today that surprised me? Where did I choose growth over comfort? How did I impact somebody else's day or development positively? Second, and this is the part that scares most high performers, you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. That means sometimes choosing the slower, messier path of mastering something over a quick win for the sake of performance. In my coaching practice now, I deliberately share my own moments with clients where I messed up and I learned something, but then the conversation is a safe, vulnerable space for them to open back up with me. When something didn't work out, when they didn't have a good plan, when something blew up, they thought they had fully covered. When we discover a better approach, I admit I'm pivoting, and that's because it's vulnerable. That is vulnerability. The commitment to growth is vulnerability. It creates permission for others to do the same. And the third practice, and this one is a real game changer, you need to create mastery moments. These are intentional pauses throughout your day where you step off the performance treadmill and you just ask yourself, am I chasing validation or am I creating value? Is my success serving my purpose or just my ego? What would I do differently if I wasn't afraid of failing? Because at the end of the day, what is most interesting about mastery and leadership is that it doesn't change how you lead. It changes how you live. And this is where it gets really personal. Remember that corner office I mentioned? The one where I was crushing it while barely holding on? I keep a photo of it on my phone. not as a reminder of success, but as a reminder of what success isn't. Because here is the truth that nobody talks about in leadership or in leadership books. Your legacy is not built in moments of high performance. It's actually built in the quiet decisions that you have to make when nobody is watching. It builds the courage to choose growth over validation. It's built to have willingness to be a work in progress instead of a perfect product. These days, I don't need anxiety meds to function. Not because I've achieved some mythical state of perfection, but because I have learned that my worth isn't tied to my performance. And that is what mastery looks like. So I want to challenge you starting today. What if you celebrated your learning moments as much as you do your winning moments? What if you treated your growth as non-negotiable as your goals? What if you choose to measure your success not by what you've achieved, but by how much you have evolved? Because here is what I know for sure. The world does not need more high performers running on empty. You look around in retail stores and you've got burnt out leaders leading burnt out teams that are in a burnt out business. And we don't need high performers to come in and fix the leaders. We need the leaders who are committed to becoming masters themselves of leadership. We need leaders to understand that sustainable success is not about sprinting faster. It's about running further with purpose. I am Brinna, and you've been listening to The Legacy Lounge. If this episode hit home, I would love to hear from you. Connect with me on LinkedIn or visit legacyfulfilled.com to learn more about creating a lasting impact through authentic leadership. I hope you take away from this episode and remember that your legacy isn't just about what you achieve. It's about who you can become in the process. And until next time, keep growing, keep learning, and remember, your worth isn't in your performance. It is in your presence. That's it for this episode of Legacy Lounge, a podcast dedicated to empowering you to lead with purpose. Remember, leadership begins with you. When you're connected to your values, strengths, and authentic self, you show up powerfully for your team, businesses, and everyone you lead. To authentically lead others, you must first lead yourself. I challenge you to consider, how are you investing in your personal growth to create a legacy that you envision? Thank you for joining me in the Legacy Lounge. If this episode sparked any thoughts or inspired action, I'd love to hear from you. I'm your host, Brinna Rollins-Williams. Connect with me on LinkedIn or other socials, and let's continue the conversation. Remember, your legacy is built one intentional step at a time.